one of my heroes is Gunter Pauli. Mr. Gunter Pauli, welcome in the IAAC. Maybe a short presentation, Silvia, short presentation of the guest professor. But for me, in Spanish, Gunter is a good friend for many years, working with us in different ideas and concepts. Maybe in the future, we make a development some of one. Maybe here or in another place. Gracias, Gunter, por estar aquí. Es un honor, es un placer. Y nos gustaría volver a escuchar y que nos pusieras al día con los fantásticos proyectos que estás haciendo por el mundo. Muchas gracias. Te dejo un momento que Silvia hace una presentación.
So, thanks, Gunter, for coming. It's the second time Gunter comes at IAAC. The first time was somewhere in 2011, 10-ish, around that. See, we printed an interview by then, yeah. 2000, yeah, maybe 2012. Anyway, long time ago, but since he did a very nice lecture by then and did a lot of things since then, we thought to invite Gunter. So, and in the work of Gunter, because he's an economist, so not our background, but he worked in a very holistic way, crossing architecture, development, with always a very solid business model behind. And this is what he promotes through his zero emission research and initiative called ZERI, at the United Nations of Tokyo, which is also a foundation. So is long-term project to promote projects that I guess he will present to us tonight. See, my bag, yeah. Well, not much more, because I think that he can introduce himself. He is a very inspiring lecturer, speaks 7 languages, had 6 kids, and lived in kind of 20 countries. 20 countries, lectured all around the world, lived all around the world, so any introduction we might give would be shorter. Thanks to you also for being here. I know the students of IAAC have a submission tomorrow, so thanks for your time and dedication, and thanks for the ones that are not students and they came here in the middle of the puente, and so also it's something that we appreciate to see you following our lecture every week. All right, nothing more to say. Gunter, stage is yours.
Thank you. You may ask yourself, why is this guy wearing a suit and a tie? I mean, this doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, you didn't come to this place with a suit and a tie. You understand my English? In the back, you understand? You don't want to come closer? If you come closer, I can see your eyes. And then I feel more comfortable. You know, why do I wear a suit and a tie? Do you know the Huffington Post? Who does not know the Huffington Post? So, you know the Huffington Post. So the Huffington Post calls me, 3 years ago, the Steve Jobs of sustainability. Steve Jobs never wore a tie. But they call me the Steve Jobs of sustainability. But you know that the day before the election, the American presidential election, the Huffington Post said there was only 2% chance that Donald Trump would get elected. So they're wrong most of the time. But my friends in Latin America, los Latinos no me llaman el Steve Jobs. Los Latinos, they call me the Che Guevara of sustainability. I get a bullet in my head like Che Guevara. So I cut my hair short, I shave clean in the morning. I put on a suit and a tie so people don't think I am Che Guevara. Although I must admit that I kind of like it to be Che Guevara. We need rebels. I'm a rebel. We need rebels in society. We need people who do not accept a no for a no. We need people who don't play according to the rules of the game. We need people who think that they will create the new rules of the game. And if you are out to create the new rules of the game, you better put on a suit and a tie so it doesn't look like you're changing the rules of the game. It looks like you're playing according to the rules of the game. My whole life I've dedicated to break and change the rule. And if you're not doing it, why are you here? It's about compliance. Life is about creation. And creation, by definition, does not respect existing laws and rules. Always go beyond what we know. And if you're not creating, then you're not using the best of your being. Then you have to still discover who you are and who you can be. And that's fine. Take your time. You can take your whole life to discover new things. But the key is we need urgently rebels that don't accept a no for a no, that will change the rules of the game. I have, over the past 6 years, to implement about 200 projects. I can't do that alone. You can only do that with teams, people. Crazy people who share crazy ideas. And you know, when they call me crazy, I think it's an honor. I'm never offended when they call me nuts. I think it is one of the nicest things they can tell me, because they give me a degree of freedom to do what I want. If they debate with you and think that it is okay, then you have no degree of freedom. If you're called crazy, you have a high degree of freedom. So let's all be crazy. Don't you remember that famous Apple advertisement in 1989 to the crazy ones? I mean, I'm one of those crazy ones who believes that maybe I can change the world. You know, and if you believe you can change the world, maybe you have a chance to change the world. But if you don't think you can change the world, are you going to change the world? Absolutely not. So celebrate the crazy ones. Look it up in Google, to the crazy ones. So I'm one of those crazy ones. Crazy means that not only you conceive great ideas, things that are fundamentally different, but what we're missing most in society today is people who do it. Got a lot of people who talk, who imagine, who say, who write, who paint, who create, but they don't do. Le mal de l'Europe, the illness of Europe, and the illness of modern society, particularly the illness of Western society, is we don't do, we talk. And when we talk, we prefer to criticize and to say what is bad. We have this incredible gift to always find something bad that we don't like. This is one of our most fundamental errors. I don't believe in the division of good and bad. I leave that to the church or to God at the end of the day. I am not going to go in there. I believe that we all can always do much better. And I think this is a part of the philosophy that we need to adopt in a society that has community. If you divide the people in the community who's good and who's bad, then you have a divisive community, and then you will have many inconveniences in your community. But if you are starting from the premise that everyone can always do better, including the one who thinks who's the best, we can always do better, then we create a society that will be founded on a community that is positive. Not because what they have, they're positive because of what they know they can create. and implement. But that requires confidence in your capacity to implement. And unfortunately, we have created, particularly in Barcelona, in Madrid, you create, and in Paris, you create these business schools where in order to create something, you need to write a business plan. Gee whiz. The worst invention we've ever had. Have you ever tried to do a drawing and say, before I start with a drawing, let me make a business plan? You will not draw anymore. Imagine you're going to try to do a play, a theater play, and you're going to start by doing a business plan? You killed it. You can never write it again. That means we have, though, imposed on the whole of society that whenever we do something, we need a business plan. And we always need to calculate the costs. And we always need to check out where is the money coming from. You know, in my organization, it is prohibited to use Excel spreadsheets. Can't use it. And whenever we have a project to implement, you're not permitted to do a pilot project and you're not permitted to do a laboratory. You must do. Feel the risk. Go for it. Because if you don't have the confidence to do it, don't do it. If you're not passionate about doing it, don't do it. And if you're with a team together of 4 or 5 people and you trust each other, you can do whatever you want. And we can go very far. You can go so far that you even will think about yourself, my God, I'm crazy. And that is the science, for me, of innovation. The science of innovation is that you come together with a team and you do absolute crazy things. Now, the advantage is when you're at university, and probably here at IAAC, you have a higher degree of freedom to do crazy things. At least, I don't know, Willie always permits, but I mean, at least that's what you should do. As professors, you have to facilitate craziness. You must moderate craziness. You must increase it. And let me give you some examples of the things that we do. In 1991, I ventured for the first time in an architectural project. I'm not an architect. I studied economics. But I ventured for the first time in an architectural project. And it was a building that was going to be the factory where I was going to produce the soaps that we make. Soaps, cleaning products, detergentes. And I decided to make a factory completely made out of wood. Have you visited a factory made out of wood? So the factory is a big halls, and they're all made out of wooden beams. And not one big tree. We were using the waste of all the little trees, and we made these agglomerates, but huge, 18-meter high arches. The first factory that was designed as a bioclimatic factory, not home, factory. Because if you make soap, it's an exothermic reaction, you generate heat. So you should distribute the heat, and then you have to design the building so the heat will flow. Because if you have 18 meters high, the heat goes up, and then it's wasted. You need to get it back down. And so we designed the bioclimatic structure out of wood. In order to regulate the temperatures, the roof was the grassest and still is the largest grass roof on an industrial building in the world. Grass. And all my customers were obliged, in comillas, in brackets, were obliged to come and plant a flower on the roof. When people come to a factory and they plant a flower in the roof and they look inside, it's made out of wood, what do they think? But do you think they remember? I tell you, every single person who came to that factory today remembers. They most of the time remember the exact date when they were there. Because it was crazy. But the great thing is that when you remember something for a product as basic as a soap, what is your relation to the product? You keep on buying it 20 years later. So the massive investment in this wooden factory with a grass roof with the bioclimatic flows into the building was, in the end of the day, an attempt to show the world that if you do something extraordinary, it rewards you for that. And it rewards you with that, with their purchasing power. They reward you with loyalty for your products. Now, isn't that an incredible gift? It's very seldom that buildings are designed like that. We design for efficiencies, we design for beauty, but we do not design buildings for creating a permanent relationship between the designer, the product made inside. That's the design I like. Then, more recently, I've been thinking about how we design small communities. You know, buildings should not be constructed because there is a functionality. Well, functionality is a small part. But in the end of the day, buildings should be part, structures should be a part of community. And you have to design community. So as I describe in my book, I call it, we have to design with the flows. You can't design with structures, you design with flows. And you need to identify the flows that are there, or the flows that are not there anymore, so you can regenerate the flows. So let's talk about El Hierro. Who knows El Hierro? In las Islas Canarias. Have you been there? No. It's an island, yes, in Spain. Well, may I suggest really that this audience here, when they want, they go to El Hierro for a week. And we will share how you design community. You can't design buildings or structures unless you design community. You can't design community unless you have an economic life based on the ecosystem around the community. And that's a new way of thinking. So when I tell you about fish in the sea in Spain, do you think there's a lot of fish in the sea or a little bit? Just about finished. You've fished all your fish. That's why you send your fleet to Africa. That's why you send your fleet to Indonesia, because there's no more fish here. Well, Los Gallegos, they have some fish left, but that's about it. Even the Basques have nothing left. You Catalans, you just suck it out of all of the ocean. It's gone. And what is there, you don't want to eat because it's polluted. So what was one of the first things when I went 20 years ago to the community of El Hierro, and we wanted to relaunch that community as a resilient community where people are happy, where people are in search of happiness and health. We decided that the first thing we have to do is that in the sea, we have to increase the density of the fish by a factor 100. Have you heard something as crazy as that before? Increase the density of the fishes by factor 100. That means if today you can catch, or if there are 100 fishes, we're going to make certain there are 1,000 fishes there. How do you do that? How do you do that? How would you do it? Do it all natural, and we only do it natural. How? By not catching the females with eggs. Enough? I mean, can you imagine when we fish, there are 10 fishes in the sea, and we catch 5. We don't care if there is a female with eggs. If you catch fish, female with egg, you have no fish. And what happens if you catch a female and you put her back in the sea and she releases her eggs? What will you get now? Fish. So what kind of fish are we catching? Only males that are small. And all females, let them free. So after 20 years, we have today in Raristinga, in the southern part of the island El Hierro, we have the density 100 times bigger than 20 years ago. 100 times bigger. And what have we done? We have cut out a zone of 5 square kilometers where the female fishes will never encounter a human being. Humans prohibited, even swimming, even diving. We have the only no human zone that in the European Union has ever been imposed. Opposes it? The fishermen. Why? Because they know that's where all the females lay their eggs. And I guarantee you, when the females lay their eggs, the males come as well. But the females need a bit of time to put out eggs. You know how many eggs a half a kilogram tuna has? Half a kilogram tuna. It's 3,000 eggs. You know, 1 kilogram tuna, how many eggs it has? 100,000 eggs. Isn't it normal that we don't touch the grandma tuna? We don't want them. We want the grandma tuna who is 30 years old, will give you 4 million eggs. And then you have the European Union telling to you that you should only catch the big fish? I don't get it. Biologists who explain the basics of life? You know, and if you don't know that big fishes have many more eggs than small fishes, and you tell everyone to only catch the big fishes, I don't get it. Then it's normal there's no more fish. But let's go fast forward. Today, when you have a density of 1,000 compared to 20 years ago, a density of 10, do you think the fishermen need radar? You think they need sonar? They need all these technologies? No. The fishermen go out. Oh, a female. Send her back. Oh, a male. That's good for today. I mean, it's amazing. You just catch. I mean, some people say there's no more fun. So easy. You catch so much fish, they even get them in their bellies. So what has happened? What has happened is we've changed the culture of modern society. Because modern society thinks that we need nets and radar and ultrasonic and technology. And the only thing we need is a bit of bait and a line. I challenge you to go and look at Restinga, La Restinga. And when you see the picture, you think this must be where the filthy rich live. It's the fishermen. And the average age of the fishermen is 38. Where in Spain do we have fishermen villages where the average age is 38? Only one. Why? Because we changed the rules of the game. Now we did the same, what we did with the fish, we did with the wine, the grapes. So on the island, which is only 10,000 people, there's a cooperative now of the 45 fishermen who have 45 boats, and where all the children are hoping that dad will soon take a pension so they can go fishing themselves. And now we have the grapes, because the grapes, we're only farming the 6 original Canary grape varieties, which genetically are not known very well anymore because they're a blend of Italian and Portuguese. They have nothing to see with the Spanish grapes. And so now we have the 8 grapes. So not only are the 8 grapes farmed locally, but also the 8 grapes are now produced into wine. And there's only 46,000 bottles. I mean, that will get us to Christmas, right? 46,000 bottles will get us to Christmas. But the most amazing thing is we've changed the rule. It is not Sauvignon Blanc. It is not Chardonnay. Names you have never heard before. And what is the result? Once you have the fish and the wine, you start building up what? Identity. Community needs identity. Identity of what? Of what you have. So what are we doing? We're rediscovering what we're having. So the design of the island's economic and urban development is totally dependent on your capacity to identify the identity of the island. And the identity is what? Is what culture and tradition and nature has been providing for centuries. It is not McDonald's. It is not Excel spreadsheets. It is identifying what is there, and then you turn into something with value. Today we have the cooperatives of the goat farmers. You know how much we pay for a liter of goat's milk? I mean, actually, any of you drinks goat's milk? How much do you pay for your goat's milk? For 1 liter? €1? Poor farmer can never live off that. So we said we don't do that. We don't sell to people who want to buy for €1. Today, our minimum price paid to the goat herder, el pastor, the minimum we pay is €2.65. And people say, oh, European subsidy? No. Or some rich guy paying the difference? No. What we do is we generate value. If you generate value, then you can pay. What value do we generate? Well, pure milk competes with the cow's milk is not what is of interest. We're producing ice cream, yogurts, cheeses. But we changed again the rule of the game. When we sell a product from the goat, the final price paid by the end consumer, 10%, goes to the farmer. And that gives him €2.65. Change the rule of the game. Why does everyone take a commission on the products of the farmer and the farmer has to accept the world market price? I don't get it. It's not fair. Supermarkets will buy the milk at 26 cents and sell it at 1. I mean, come on, it's not fair. Without the goat and the farmer, you don't have the milk. But he only can survive. So what we do is we change the rules of the game. We change the rules of the game with the fish, we change the rules of the game for the wine, we change the rules. But once you have changed the different rules of the game, we have 14 cooperatives on the El Hierro. 14. And everyone is making much more money than they ever made before. You think people like you? Do you think people are ready to risk with you? Because we can be much more generous than the world of globalization can ever imagine. Globalization can never do this. Just imagine the German tourist in Tenerife. Sind Deutsche hier auch anwesend? There's some Germans? Yeah, so let's talk about the Germans. You have this German tourist, you can see the Bavarian guy with his wife sitting in Tenerife on the Frühkost. And there is this wonderful jar of fresh goat yogurt with freshly cut pineapple and banana. I'm paying €5 for that. €5 means that for that little jar, which is basically 40 milliliters, he's going to get 50 cents. Can we calculate together? If you give the farmer the price. And we do the same with the fisherman. The fisherman, normally, he has to sell the price at the world market price of tuna. What is he getting? Nothing. But if a tuna is on your menu and you eat a tuna, you think you're getting how much? Well, you get a little piece of tuna and you're paying €25. He gets 10%. And as a result, we're multiplying the revenues of the farmers, of the fishermen, of the goat herders. By what? By giving them a fair share of what is actually paid by the consumer. And we're not telling the consumer you should pay 10% more. No, no, no. We don't say anything. What we're saying is all these middlemen, out. Get rid of those middle people. They're parasites. I mean, it's already in the Bible if you ever read that piece. You gotta get rid of them. And so what we're doing is we're getting rid of it. But what is the advantage is that when people make so much money, what do you think happens to a goat who gets, for the farmer, €2.65 per liter of milk? And normally the market price says it's 26 cents. What does the farmer think about this goat? He loves her. I mean, 10 times more. This goat is going to be loved and cared for. And how does the goat react to the love and the care? Gives more milk. I mean, why do we need to work on hormones to produce more milk? Just give a little bit of loving care to your animals. You know, this is design, huh? This is not science. This is pure design of community and society. And what you do is you bring a bit of passion and joy, and you transform. I don't know if you realize, but El Hierro is one of the cabildos, is one of the authorities where there is the lowest unemployment in the whole of Spain. Why? People enjoy life. €2.65 minimum for the milk. Let's get more goats. So last year, 53 new farms were opened. Well, if you're living in Valencia and you're not finding a job and you're one of the 60% of the young people without a job, maybe not a bad idea to get some goats, huh? And you get some goats and you even can make good yogurt. And making yogurt, I mean, I learned at home how to make yogurt. Who in here knows how to make yogurt? Yeah, several of us, we know, particularly if you come from Eastern Europe. You still know it very well. Are you from Eastern Europe? Russia, of course. Yeah, I knew that. I know that. Because the Russians at least they have the culture of making your own yogurt. You have preserved that very basic know-how. The Bulgarians do it as well. And so what we're missing is this over-modernization of society. We have made it so complex that we don't even think we can do it. And it's so easy to do it. But what we're doing is we're saying that if you know how to, if you have people knowing how to do it, well, why don't you do it? Do you need a business plan to make yogurt? No, you don't need a business plan to make yogurt. Just do it. And you know, this is part of the culture. Now, ladies and gentlemen, fast forward from 1994 to 2007, to develop these cooperatives, the wine and the cheese and the yogurt, and the slaughterhouse was reopened, and we have the banana farms and the pineapple farms, and we have the water cooperative, and we have the energy cooperatives, and we have the fisheries, and we have the restaurants. You know, all of that is basically creating community. It's revenue, where people trust each other, they care. And then in 2007, the big decision was made that the whole island would be converted in the first to be self-sufficient in water and power. That's the island in Spain that has the big windmills. Explain the water and the power if you don't understand the communities that were created. You ventured in an €82 million project. You can only do it when you trust each other. You can only do it when your economy feels good. Fine. And then you can do that. But that took 10, 15 years. 2013, we inaugurated the first island in the world that can be self-sufficient in water and power. And people said, this is crazy, €82 million for 10,000 people? Aren't we crazy? And what we forget is we think it's a lot of money, but what we forget is that this island, the people on the island were spending €9 million per year on importing fuel, diesel, to run the generators. Now, you don't have to be an economist to realize that if you pay €9 million a year, it takes you only 9 years to pay your investment. And then for the next 31 years, it's all for free. Good deal, no? And what happens when you don't spend that money outside anymore, now that money stays in your economy? What happens with money that stays in your local economy? It grows your economy. This is by design. So we design water, food, power, we design community, and then you can go to your buildings. Now you can design urban. Now you can design it. But what you've done is you've created the new flows, you've created the confidence, you've created an environment that is very conducive to actually take a few risks. So the big new project on the island is that we're going to substitute all 6,000 vehicles with electric vehicles. But design, change the rules of the game. Who of you has an electric vehicle? You don't have a vehicle. You're students. So, electric vehicle needs a battery, right? So what we have done in the business design is that when you have the island with the water and the power that is controlled by the island, you then create a leasing company, leasing electric cars, and you only lease the cars without the battery. Smart grid management. Everyone talks about smart grids. But who has implemented smart grid management with 6,000 vehicles? No one in the world. Not even Tesla is thinking about that. Well, Elon is not even thinking about that. We're too busy doing the batteries, and I'm saying no, the model is without the battery. Because the model on the island allows us to do a smart grid management with the batteries. You know how much money you can make on a car battery, like the Tesla car battery, per month, doing smart grid management with millivolts? You can earn 100 to 150 euro per month per battery if you use your battery in smart grid. That means you don't just go there and fill it up. Forget about the filling up. What you need to do is smart grid management. And you can't do that with 2 batteries. You need thousands of batteries. So your interest is to have many more electric vehicles, but someone understood that already 10 years ago. And that someone is called the Electric Power Company. Endesa, Enel, Suez, Engie, E.ON, Vattenfall. You know the big guys, no? You know the guys who make power? Particularly those who make nuclear power. They realized, my God, if there are going to be thousands of batteries from electric cars in a city like Barcelona, in a smart grid management, they're going to cut consumption of electricity by 30%. So what do? They do what they always do. They make it impossible. How did they do that? Well, they have a small committee that decides on the software to manage batteries in a car. Now, the software of the batteries in the car don't allow you to do smart grid management. Interesting, huh? It's pure coincidence. I mean, there's nothing to see. I mean, this is absolute coincidence. I mean, this was a standard that was decided independent from the nuclear industry. Independent. It's independent of the big power companies. They're they're not car designers. We know that. So what do? Change the software. What does Renault tell us? Oh, you can't change the software because then we will cancel your warranty. So, cancel. We're not going to buy your car. Period. What does Elon Musk say? Yeah, do it. We'll send you an update. Download the update on your internet. Well, that's a good reaction. So the result is that now the only company that is vehemently refusing to have smart grid management with the car batteries is Renault. Well, yeah, I mean, this is the French government, right, with nuclear power. You have to forgive them. You know, they're a bit stubborn. You know, that's why their economy goes down the drain and the president is so popular. You know, when you have that kind of mentality, when you allow that to happen, then society will take its revenge. It's obvious that it will take revenge. You're not going to tolerate that. Go back to the island. When you have smart grid management and you make 100 euro per month per battery, and the electric company is owned 65% by the local population, for who is the 100 euro? For the local population. Don't have to, I mean, that you don't have to do a voting on it. Everyone agrees. So when we have the money, we deduct it from the cost of the car, and now you don't have a battery. What is the leasing price of the car? For 165 euro per month, power included. You think we have a chance to have a few contracts? It's half price of what the cheapest car you can get. You can't even get a smart car for that price. And so as a result, I just want to share with you, we would never have been able to develop the concept of 6,000 electric cars in smart grid management, €65, if we didn't start at the outset to get more fish into the water and preserve the females. This is what we call systemic design. This is systems design. I hope you have a course on systems design here. I hope. If not, then I'll talk to Willy tonight and have it installed as of tomorrow. Because this system design is extremely powerful. Because when you propose, no one is against. And system design means that you become the master of the equations. That means you become the master of foreseeing the results. And of course, they call you crazy, but you've done the mathematics. You know it isn't crazy. It is what it is. And if you've done it once, you become very arrogant because you know you can do it twice. And then you are even crazier. So the result is that I'm challenging you here in urban design. Urban design means systemic design. It means systemic design where you understand the interrelationships, because urban design needs to respond to the needs of the people. And the first need for people is to live. And living means water and food and housing and energy and health and a very good job in which you can be your best, where you can be better than you thought you ever were. And if that is part of your urban design, you have transformed the city, or you have the power to transform the cities. And that's what we're in need of, because cities need to be transformed. I mean, they were designed with a logic that has nothing to see with the reality of today, and certainly not the reality that 50, 60, 70% of the world will be living in cities. And so therefore, we know that rhetoric about all the world is going to be living in cities. Yeah, so what now? Well, what are we doing? And doing is we need to redesign it from the bottom up. Design it started from the basic needs of people. So you don't have exclusion when you start with your fishermen and your goat pastores, your goat herders. You become inclusive because you start with those who provide you the basics in life, food and water and power. And if you're able to include in your urban design the water, the food, and the power, and the health, then you're going to have cities that look completely different. And mobility will come. Mobility is not the priority. Mobility will come after you've understood all the other flows. Mobility is in the end. Unfortunately, too many cities, the cities are so clogged up that the only thing you can think about is immobility. Not moving. I love it when I go to Belgium. The first thing the news always says, every minute you have this little ticker saying how many hundreds of kilometers of traffic jam there is. Wow, what a measurement in society. Today we have 495 kilometers of traffic jam. You know, it's amazing. Why even worry about it? Don't sit in the traffic. Just get out. And I think this is very important. You see where I come from in urban design? And now we can overlay on the urban design economic activities, industrial production. You know that with a small 3D printers, you can start making things at home. But let me conclude the introduction, and then we'll go a little bit more debate, right? I can have some questions and answers. See, I'm a father of 6. And my youngest is 2. Don't criticize me. They'll be good boys in life. They'll behave. They will be avengers. They will be change agents. But having had 6 children, and none of them today use diapers, I have always worried about diapers. And so I wanted to do the redesign of the diaper. It's one of my life objectives. One of my dreams in life is to have another diaper. You know, everyone knows what a diaper is? Pañales. Couche-culottes. Le couche-culottes. Pannolini in Italiano. In German, it's... wie heißt es auf Deutsch wieder, was die Kinder verwenden? Windel! Ja, danke. Das sind die Windeln. In Russian, how is it in Russian? Yeah, you don't use it, I know, but... So here is the challenge of the diaper. You know how it is made? It's made with 3 different types of plastics, which of course are not biodegradable. They have an elastomer, because we think it must be stretchable. Inside we have a chemically treated wood, cellulose, and it's chemically treated to make it soft. Ha, soft. Anyway, they call it soft. And acrylic. Acrylic, because if you have 1 drop of water of in acrylic can absorb 500 times more than its own weight. Can you imagine? They put in 15 grams of acrylic. Can you make the calculation? 15 grams multiplied by 500. There's no baby can have a pea that big. Doesn't exist. Still they do it, just in case there would be a big pea. I mean, it's like the 1 in a 1,000-year storm, right? It's a once in a 1,000-year pea. And then they have this incredible absorption capacity, but that chemical, acrylic, will keep on absorbing forever. It's a synthetic. That means it will always keep on growing, and that means that when you have 3% of your waste dump with diapers, the diapers will take the form of 500 times bigger, because it'll absorb and not release it. So I thought we should redesign it. Of course, redesigning means not only redesigning the products, you have to redesign how it is being made. Are you interested to know how it is being made? Who here has babies with diapers at home? I have none. So none of you have, but you're interested. Okay. You like crazy ideas, that's confirmed now. So the first thing we do is I went to visit these factories where they make diapers, Windel. And it's amazing. 8,000 per second. And now I'm going to compete against them. You know, how do you feel like you know, how competitive do you feel? How competitive can you get when there is 8,000 per second being crunched out of that machine? You have to get creative, get out of the box, change the rules of the law, change the rules of the game. Because if you're going to play their rule, I mean, the only way to beat him is to do 10,000 diapers per second. And I don't feel that is mine. Fast forward, because if I go through the whole story, we're here tomorrow morning. My flight is at 6 in the morning, so I want to get some food before. Fast forward. Today we have a 3D mold that operates like a waffle machine. You know waffles? I'm Belgian. We like waffles. So at home in Belgium, everyone has a waffle machine. And what do you have to put into the waffle machine? Well, you need to have a dough, right? A mix. And the mix is made out of what? Some flour, some milk, some egg, some sugar. 4 ingredients. So I said, what if I can make a diaper in a waffle-like machine and I only have 4 ingredients? Yeah, well, all Belgians make waffles at home, so if they can make waffles at home, we can make diapers at home. Today we have the waffle machine, the diaper machine. We have the diaper machine, and so what we do is we take a 3D picture of the bum of the baby. The bum. Yeah. We take a 3D picture, and that 3D picture is transformed into thanks to the printer, into a mold for a diaper. That means we have personalized size of diapers. And so we have a mold, and the 3D printer just prints it for us. It's very easy. And it's exactly to the size of the bum of the baby. I mean, isn't that not a good sales argument? And then we use, of course, a plastic, which is a biodegradable plastic. I happen to be the chairman of the largest bioplastics company in Europe. So we make, and the sheet of plastic you just buy, it's like you have these rollers on your kitchen when you roll and you tear it off. Yeah, you know that? I mean, when we design something new and it's so goddamn innovative, you better have some things people know how to handle when they get going. So the waffle machine, they know. The 3D printer, they don't know. But there's so much talk about 3D printing that people like the picture of the bum and they see the 3D mold. People like it. This is interesting. This is modernity. Yes, this is modernity. So we have that 3D printer, which is a waffle machine. And this time it's not, it also has a little bit of heat. So you pull your plastic, you lay it over, and then you know, when you make waffles, you have the dough and you have something to pour it on, right? You mixed it first. So first what you do is you take bamboo dust. A bit of bamboo dust, yeah? Because bamboo absorbs 10 times its own weight in water. Now we don't do it chemically, this is mechanically produced. No chemistry. Who wants chemistry on the bum of a baby? You don't want that. So what we do is we have that. But whenever the body is in contact with urine, it is normal that the skin gets irritated. And therefore you need something to alleviate the irritation. The irritation has to do with pH. I just want to make sure you understand this is science. This is not just doing. And so what we do is we mix in the powder of the bamboo. We're mixing inside some charcoal from bamboo. Now in Asia, bamboo charcoal is always been used for the skin. If you have skin rashes, eczemas or some irritations, you just take a bath in bamboo charcoal and it'll go away. Charcoal, carbon vegetal. El carbón vegetal. Holzkohle. So we want to make certain we have that little, so we have the bamboo in a premix, like you can buy waffle mix, right? So in the premix, we have the bamboo dust with the charcoal from the bamboo, and we add a little bit of coffee. Why would we add coffee? For the smell, of course. You add coffee, no smell. Nice, huh? You open the baby, no big smell. Great. People like the idea of taking the diaper off and no bad smell. People pay for that. So what we have is this mix. This mix goes on there, and then you lay over another plastic. And this time, this plastic will let liquid go through. The bottom one will not get liquid go through. And then the only thing you do is you take your waffle iron, now diaper iron, and you press it. And what we do is we press the shape of the baby into this kind of sandwich of bamboo mix. And then you just put it on. That's all it is. It's that simple, it's embarrassing. Now comes the business model. So we have tested this now in Berlin, in Kreuzberg, in Berlin. Very advanced thinking German families, very caring about their babies. So we've tested there, and we've tested now in Copenhagen. Anyone from Denmark? Dansk? Inge Dansk her? You have no Danes here. Okay, no Danes. Svensk? Are you Swedish here? No, no Scandinavians, okay. Anyway, so we've tested it, and we know that people kind of like the idea. Not everyone wants to waffle every day, diaper every day, 6 or 8 units. So then when there are 10 mamas together, they will figure out that, you know, this week I'll make the diapers. And once you're in the waffle machine or the diaper machine, you just make your own diapers. But now comes the real business model. We will give the machine for free. We will give you all the ingredients for free, including the bamboo dust and the biodegradable, on one condition, that when it is dirty, you give it to me. You know, people are kind of, are you crazy? You really want the diapers back? Yeah, I want it back. Additional ingredient produced by the baby. Because that's the best you have in the world for creating microorganism flora. It is healthy. It is, and imagine it's produced with mother's milk. I mean, how would you ever throw that away? And so what we do is we have Saturday morning in Berlin, and in Copenhagen we have the Saturday morning 9 to 11. People come to a place with a bucket with all the soil, the diapers, and we give them all the fresh ingredients for free. What's our business model? What do you do with this bamboo, charcoal, coffee, bioplastic poo mix? Well, we turn that into something that is called terra preta. Who knows terra preta? Black earth. 35% concentration of carbon. What do you do with black earth? Black earth, because with 1 kilogram of black earth, you have the nutrition for a fruit tree for 8 years. So what business are we in? We are in the fruit tree business. And what do you do when you have a baby? Don't you have the tendency to plant the tree? I mean, we kind of like the idea, there's a baby, let's plant a tree. When the kids grow up, let's go and plant trees. And so we think you should plant trees with your own poo. And so we've tested it. The people who know it, with the mother and the grandmother and the grandmother and the grandfathers and the uncles, everyone is happy, there's a baby in the family, and they all go plant trees. You know how many trees they plant in Germany? When everyone starts realizing that there is so much material to plant, 800 to 1,000 trees. Because people get excited about planting trees. Aren't you excited about planting a tree? Or do you say, oh my God, I got to plant a tree? No, people like the idea. Now, are cities prepared to receive millions of trees? They're not. Are cities prepared to have millions of trees? So let's make the calculation. If you have 1,000 babies only, 1,000 babies, how many trees have you planted if you do 1,000 babies, 1,000 trees? How many trees do you have after 25 years? 25 million trees. Only with 1,000 babies over 25 years. Which city can receive 25 million trees, fruit trees? Cities are not big. So what are we doing? We're redesigning the diaper, but what are we doing? We're redesigning the city. And so we're talking to Anne Hidalgo. And we're saying to Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, and we're saying to her, what happens if all the crèches that you pay for and all the diapers, imagine that all of those, which is 13,000 babies, 13,000. That means we're now at 250 million trees in 25 years. There's no space in Paris to ever do that. But does Paris have guaranteed drinking water for the future? They don't. Napoleon gave some rights in the Loire, but you know, now they're having pig farms on there, and there's E. coli getting into the drinking water of Paris, and now it's very costly to treat it. So what are we proposing? We're doing a 250 million tree planting effort over 30 years. With what? With the diapers of your babies. This is systemic thinking in practice. And now we can rethink the whole design. And what does a tree produce? It's a fruit tree, right? A fruit tree in 25 years. How many kilograms of fruit is it producing? 50 kilograms. 50 kilograms multiplied by 250 million. How many millions of tons of fruits do we have? We have all the fresh food for the babies. We will have a city that is flooded with fresh fruit. And we can plan it so that during 9 months, the fruits and the nuts and the berries, we can plan it. This is what biologists do. So we're not talking about edible forests only. We're talking about redesigning the whole city. With what? Starting with a diaper. This is what I hope you will learn here. And this is how we redesign. Because do you think there is money for having millions of trees? What's the cost of one tree? 2 years old, fruit tree, apple tree. What's the cost? Here in Barcelona, I checked it on the internet. 38 euro is the cheapest. 38 euro multiplied by 250 million. Are we in business? It's billions. And thanks to the billions you generate with the sales of the trees, we can give the diapers for free. Because we're an ethical business, right? Cool. Because I think the future of water in the city is very important. I think it's one of the most critical things we have to design in urban design. How is water being produced in the future? And isn't healthy food and fresh food important to fight obesity and to increase the health indices of the people? Why don't you design it? And so this is, to me, the revolution we're ready for. We're doing it. We're barely started. This is one of our 204 projects. If I were to have a little bit more time till tomorrow morning 6, then, I could go through a few more. But what I want to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, the world is there to be designed. We are just barely starting to design this. And we are using 3D printers. And we are using optical imaging. And we are using the greatest technologies. But we're also using the very simple principle that you shouldn't be killing a female fish with eggs. And we're also thinking about the principle that we shouldn't throw away the poo of the baby made with mother's milk. It's the best there is. It is one of the greatest nutritions for biology. So why throw it away and why consider it to be icky? This is the world in which I work, and this is where I navigate. And now you probably understand why some of my friends call me the Che Guevara. And now probably understand why I have to wear a suit and a tie, especially when I'm speaking in public, so that people don't think I am. But in the end of the day, I am Che Guevara. Thank you. Gracias.
Thanks a lot, Gunter, for this amazing, super inspiring lecture. So this is the question moment.
Yes,
so guys, if you have any problem, submit it now. This guy is going to sort it out in seconds.
Thank you very much for your not only inspiring but revealing lecture. I have a question which is a kind of a sharing in a way at the same time. My youngest child is autistic. We found about his autism, and for us it was a kind of revelation. We had the luck to find a nice lady in Mexico who, after more than 10 years of research, she found, also with the help of others, other protocols, she found that CD, chlorine dioxide, is, of course, an oxidant, was very useful for killing the bugs that, in a way, an autistic cannot digest, let's say, no? Fast forwarding the whole issue, we found that the pharmaceutical business, in a way, is fighting something as simple and as very cheap and as miraculous, if you will, like CD and chlorine dioxide, no? It's useful for flus or for whatever disease it is, right? So my question is related with this experience that we have had. We have been told that we are crazy to give CD to our child. Because of course we are out of the route, no, which in a way is spending a lot of money, blah blah blah. How do you face? I mean, this is my question. When you change rules, dramatic way, there are a lot of interest that in a way you are stepping on, right? So talking about security, talking about the future of these projects, I can imagine that there are a lot of forces that in a way react or could react with what we could say is a new or alternative world. So my question is, having this kind of Che Guevara mentality, right? What do you do in order not to get murdered?
Well, be so fast, their bullets can't reach me. You know, what you really have to do is fast. You have to be fast. Things in life is that when you're fast and you move fast and you're very versatile and you move many things, explain to people the logic, the ethics behind it. It's very difficult for everyone to be against. And if the bullet comes, let it come. So be it. But what I think is, and so you have to be fatalistic about it. But what I think is very important is if we maintain a high pace of changing and persevering and doing and having fun doing it, you know, it's very difficult to go against forever. You know, you have to, I think you have a sense that I enjoy what I do. Yeah? Is that noticeable? So when you enjoy what you're doing, you know, you can put that wind against to the side. Because you're not going against the current, you're using the currents to surf. And the more they go against me, the faster I'm surfing. But that requires a bit of mental training to see that. And that means I'm not saying they're the bad guys and I'm the good guy. No, 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 no. How can we serve faster and better? And how do we succeed? One day, turn them around. Because they will turn around. And maybe it takes them 20 or 30 years. Then I may just on the edge still see it. Maybe it takes 50 years, so my son will see it. But I think we have to maintain the positive spirit and not go into the trap of the conspiracies and the negatives, because if you want, it's all there. But where is your energy then going? You're sucking your own energy to fight the negative. Build up your own energy to be stronger on the positive. And they can't catch you. You know? You gotta stay positive in life. It's the most important. 50% of cancer in society is caused by stress. People are stressed out, are negative. Come on. Let's be part of the other 50%. If we have to get cancer, that's genetics. But not because I am doing it to myself. And I think this is a very important message. Stay positive, stay focused, and enjoy what you do. It's very difficult to be against Robin Hood, you know?
I make a question for you. Okay, no. I make a question in Spanish.
En español, por favor. Claro
you
que sí.
respond in English, please?
Sí, sí, sí,
Okay.
sí.
Gunter, te quiero preguntar sobre la escala de los problemas. Por una parte, cada vez que pasan los años y te veo, tú trabajas en escalas más altas, en esferas más altas de decisiones. Hablas con presidentes de gobierno, estás trabajando no con autoridades pequeñas, sino con personas que tienen una escala de decisión cada vez más grande. Por otro lado, veo que tus proyectos y tus experiencias tienen una escala pequeña, es decir, la comunidad del Hierro, la experiencia de Berlín, son comunidades pequeñas. Mi pregunta es, ¿crees tú que lo que debo entender es que debemos tocar en algo del top-down para que tome conciencia y a la vez trabajar en el sentido contrario, en el sentido bottom-up, con pequeños ejemplos? ¿Ese es el camino? Porque cuando atacamos problemas como Barcelona, Río de Janeiro, Hong Kong, ¿cómo lo abordamos un problema de semejante escala?
Sí. So the question is, you know, what are we really doing? I mean, are we talking to only the heads of state where we have access to? Or are we talking and working with the people on on the basis of society, like the farmers and the fishermen. And, you know, you need all and more. Society is more than a head of state. Sometimes we expect too much from the head of state. He can't do so much. The poor man or the poor woman is very limited. Fishermen can do a lot more than a president can for the fish. And what we need to get out of is to search the superstructure in order to regulate. We have regulated too much. We need to create a superstructure where we have a higher degree of freedom to act. And that is not only needing the basis and the top, it also needs the scientists and the NGOs and the small companies and the local policymakers, etc. And I think you need a lot of people. You know, when we do a work, I mean, for example, now the president of Argentina has asked us to work. I can't work in Argentina. I can't do work in Argentina. I asked the president, let's divide up the country in ecoregions. I can work in ecoregions, but not in a country. So give me the ecoregions. Oh, but that doesn't fit the provinces. I don't care. Birds don't care that there's a border here, so why would I care about the border? So let's talk about ecoregions first. Second, every solution in every ecoregion will be different. Let's imagine solutions that are very different. Now, a head of state, he would like to have the law that he can pass for the country, and I'm saying, no, I probably need 6 different ranges of interventions, and it's not the governor of the province, it is not the president of the nation, but this is what I think will generate a new design of your social, economic, ecological development. So we need to involve a lot of people, but the most important community we involve, my most important work, is really talking to children. I mean, if you are not inspiring 3, 5, 8-year-olds, you're out. You can propose whatever you imagined. It may be the greatest science, but we need to recover the bottom of society, the basis of society. That's the young kids. We've given them all iPads. We give them 1,000 channels to watch on TV, and then we give them a Google access. And then we're giving them an iPhone or a phone. And then we think we're getting the next generation. Excuses, ladies and gentlemen, we're fucking them up. It's that bad. I mean, we forget that we are messing up a generation. So if you're not inspiring the next generation with something better than an iPhone and Pokemon, gosh, we're on the wrong track, and it's going to be irreversible. And so that is part of our work. So every single project that we undertake, every single project is translated into a fable, a children's story. And maybe you know, but the Chinese government has decided that all my fables are distributed for free in China to all children, to inspire the children. I mean, don't you think it's obvious that we shouldn't be killing females with eggs? I mean, isn't that self-evident? Now, I wish you good luck. Go and talk to some fishermen on the coast and tell them. They will say, are you crazy? But if you talk to the kids of the fishermen, they will say it's the obvious. That's the only way to go. And so we need to have that shift of what seems fantasy and crazy for the adults is reality for the kids. And that is part of the design of a transformation of territory and society. You can't do it only. So my request to President Macri in Argentina is, I'm ready to do this work. I will come with 150 people. But half of my time is going to be spent with your kids. And he says, but I want some strategic advice on, yeah, well, then you hire McKinsey or Deloitte, whoever you want. But if you really want a transformation of society and you really are interested in the long term, the only way to do it is you inspire the children. And all the projects that we think are feasible in Argentina, we will first talk to the children before we even talk to you. You know, this is transforming society. Because children, I mean, I give you a small example. We work with a product called stone paper. We make paper out of rocks. Mining waste is transformed into paper. Mining waste. So what normally creates the dust that generates respiratory diseases all around the world, we take that dust and we turn it into a paper. 80% rock and 20% polymers. And the polymers we get from Tetra Pak packaging, you know, the bricks, which you have your juice and your milk. Now, that are the things we design. We're at 1 million ton now. Ton production. We're going to go to 20 million tons in 8 years. We will eliminate the cellulose market from the business. And what is my pleasure? We'll not need to cut trees anymore. I mean, have you ever thought about the pleasure of cutting a tree? I see no pleasure. And so it's one of our very explicit goals to stop cutting trees. And how do we do it? By giving a product that is half the price and that cleans up the mines at the same time. Now, if you want to, we can spend a couple hours on what is the design behind this. What is the model for society behind this? And the model is very simple. Reduce respiratory diseases. Every city is struggling with respiratory diseases because you're not banning the fossil fuel cars. And you keep on tolerating diesel cars. They should be prohibited long time ago. And we don't do it. And so therefore what we're saying is, let's do it differently. Let's turn the dust into paper. And that's what we're doing. And so the key is, how can I convince a president when they have just planted 4 million hectares of genetically modified eucalyptus? I mean, he's basically saying to the investors, oh, you had confidence in Argentina, but guess what? They changed my mind. Now you're going to go bankrupt. You think this works? From a political point of view, this is suicidal. But the children in Argentina will all know that you can now make paper without cutting a tree and without ever using a drop of water. And what do you think they will be using in the near future? They will not accept nor tolerate that the country continues to use GMO trees that suck up water out of the very scarce water reserves that they have in their soils in order to make a tree that you then cut to produce a paper that you can use 3-4 times. Whereas this stone paper you can use forever. So if I explain it to kids, everyone gets it. Kids don't understand why the parents even are ready to debate it. And that is why I call that a sandwich. It's the bottom is the kids. You know, the advantages, and you are at the edge of this as young people, as your age, 3 times. I'm more than 60. So what is happening is that for children, everything is reality, even fantasy. And that's why we need to tap into that. As soon as you graduate, you live in the world of reality. And you've lost your fantasy, nearly all of it. And our educational system is designed to ensure that you will maintain your fantasy world as your real world. Because the real fantasy world is the one we've created here and we live in. That's pure fantasy. That has no future whatsoever. That is totally unsustainable. And so therefore, let's wake up the kids' world, which is reality. Ah, no, la vaca, ¿quién ha dicho eso? La vaca es buena.
We have time, I guess, for one last short question.
So, I don't know if I'm going to be short, Sylvia. I'm sorry.
And I'm not going to be short either.
Yeah. The thing is, how can I say this?
You want someone else to do a question?
No, I really want to do this. The thing is that this sort of bothers me on a personal level, but this is not about personality. This is a school. So this presentation is very interesting to me. Because this presentation is a systems design on its own. It feels like you've done the math, you've calculated everything, and you can actually predict the result from the beginning. But I feel that you've miscalculated somewhere to who you're talking to. We are architects, we're researchers, we're creative, we're scientific, we're analytic, we're agile, we're street smart. Wooden words, we don't buy them. What we care about is not just the numbers, it's the quality. And this is why I'm saying this. And this is definitely, I find this very interesting, very, very interesting. Because I feel that the change of the world is not going to come wearing a suit. And I'm saying this because a suit has a quality of, it can distance people, it can alienate people. And I wanted to know how you've seen this through your experience, how the suit affects the people you work with, and how, even more importantly, the quality of sustainability. Because it feels like numbers matter, but numbers only show the quantity. In your presentation, you talked a lot about numbers. Every 2 minutes, it was a new number, millions, thousands, billions. It was to make a point, and I understand that. Numbers really do matter. But numbers do not reflect quality. Numbers reflect quantity. So I'm afraid that if we're going to see the future of sustainability in this world, we need to see its quality side, not its quantity. Because you can bring sustainability in a big amount after 2 or 3 years. We need to see sustainability that will last. And I don't know if that will be done by big projects, big numbers. I think, and this is just an assumption, again, I'm just a student here. I think that sustainability will come in small steps, but big quality. And I really want to hear how you think about this, because you really are at the forefront of this. It seems you have the power to actually influence this. Please tell me.
Very good. You need and numbers and quality. Not either or, it's all, first of all. You need to have very clear numbers so you can tell yourself it is 100 times better. I'm not interested in doing 10% better and 20% better. I'm interested in doing 100 times better, 1,000 times better. And these are the numbers that I've used, 1,000,000 times better. So what I'm basically telling you is not the absolute number, is the order of magnitude of shift we can create. Because we need to go faster and we need to go much faster. And so I'm messaging to you is orders of magnitude of change. That's the real message. It's not the absolute number. Although, if you are interested to understand how the 1,000 little initiatives have congealed into a large number, it's because there were 1,000 initiatives on the bottom and not one big one. You know, I tried to share with you that it was the fisherman and it was the winemaker and it was the goat and and only then were we ready to take an 80 million project, because we needed to have the hundreds of small things to build confidence, because you don't have confidence in me because there was a big bang. They have confidence because you can see that there are hundreds of initiatives that are gelling together into a very dynamic system that is resilient, adaptive, autopoietic, etc. And that is what we need to design. So I think we're talking the same. But, you know, the most important for me is not the debate about who's right or wrong, is go and see. And you have the advantage that 2.5 hours from here, you have an island that has done it. And where people have embraced it. And in 20 years' time, they've transformed the island. And the most important is not to do the calculations. The most important is you go and see the fishermen arrive in the morning. And you see, and you sit in the port, you see the fishermen arrive, and you look at the houses where they live. And then you will get your gestalt. You will get the overall picture of what has happened. And then take the time and go to Galicia or go to Sitges and look at the port and say, this is what they've created here. Where? To Sitges? Of course I've been there. You have to compare. You have to see where you come from, where you can go to. No, only once I've seen it. That's all.
I feel that that's part of sustainability. It's revisiting because it's a changing system. You can't just do it once.
No. I'm not the one changing the system. I'm inspiring the people to transform themselves. That's my role. And my main role is to understand the business model that's behind it. Because most of the people think that they love sustainability, but there's no money and they can't pay for it. We still have this notion that if it's sustainable, it's more expensive. No, we're showing that sustainability is not expensive at all. It's much cheaper. Another question.
Thank you. Yeah, a pragmatic one, I think. Don't you think it's easier to settle these kind of models in an island rather than in a classic city? Because in an island they have like a spirit of community, so it's easier to put in place all this.
An island that is dying has no spirit of community. The island went from 30,000 inhabitants to 8,000 inhabitants. How much community do you have there? So yes, it is easier because if you want to run some of the numbers, you have a much more, you know, it's very constrained. Not so much can evaporate. But we've done the same in, I didn't mention that, in Las Gaviotas in Colombia. We've done the same, and that's on territory. It is the spirit of being able to identify that there is so much more than people thought there is, and have people rediscover it and figure out how to respond to the basic needs of everyone. And then from there on, sky is the limit. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.